Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a great start to your week. And, summer is in full swing, it seems. It's June 7th, and it's starting to at least feel like summer, even though, it's technically spring for a couple more weeks. But it's exciting. The weather is changing. It's getting warmer. And if you are a subscriber to the Sulky blog, hold on, I'm not seeing any chats. So just a moment. Let me get that fixed. All right. If you're joining, send me a hello. Let me know where you're from so that I can see your messages in the comments here. All right. So as I was saying, if you are a subscriber to the Sulky blog or a subscriber to our newsletter, you may already know that we have a really exciting summer planned for you here at Sulky. We have a lot of fun things going on because we are kicking off our 35th anniversary celebrations here in the month of June. And we have a lot of things for you to mark on your calendar so that you don't miss all the fun and festivities. And of course, we will be celebrating all year long as we, celebrate this milestone, 35 years. It's really exciting stuff. So let's see. First and foremost, before we get to today's project, which is a really great summer project, and again, if you are a subscriber to the Sulky blog, you may have already seen this project, but I'm going to be going over the how-tos and the full tutorial here today on So What. We will be making this fabric food tent, and I'm going to go over the embroidery with you. This says Slice of Summer, and I'm going to be going over all of the steps to make this. It's a fat quarter friendly project, and you can whip this up in an afternoon, no worries. It has some great handles to it. You can even change up the size based on the size of bowl or plate that you plan to cover at your next summer barbecue, potluck, picnic, that type of thing. So that's what we're going to be showing off today. But before we get started, and thank you all for chiming in and saying hello. I love seeing your faces and your names, so that's wonderful. All right, before we get started, I want to talk about the upcoming American Sewing Guild conference. Now, we have done a couple of collaborations with the American Sewing Guild, over the years. And of course, it's a great organization. If you are already part of American Sewing Guild, then I give you a round of applause because it's such a great way to connect with local sewers close to you or, in your city, in your state, and have this community of like-minded people coming together and sharing your sewing and learning together, and kind of like what we do here on So What every Tuesday, but on a little bit grander or actually more localized manner. So if you want to learn more about joining ASG, you can go to asg.org, but they have a wonderful conference every year, and it has been, it's taken its toll like most things during the pandemic, rescheduled, put on hold, gone virtual, all these things to try and continue this great conference that they do every year. But finally, we're back in person, and we will be starting on June 30th. So in a few short weeks, I will be at American Sewing Guild Conference in San Antonio, along with Eric Drexler, who is a great Sulky educator and contributor as well. So the conference is open to members and non-members alike. So if you want to get a taste of ASG, you can head on down to San Antonio. You can still register for classes and for the event itself. There's a vendor hall, so you can do lots of shopping, tons of classes. There's lunch every day. You can sit with new people and get to know people of different ASG chapters. There's a fashion show. There's all kinds of fun things. So join us beginning June 30th in San Antonio. It's for the weekend leading up to July 4th. So it's going to be a great, great time. And another reason that I bring this to your attention is because we will be announcing the winner of the Casey Duffel photo contest live at the American Sewing Guild conference. So you have until June 30th to upload your finished Casey Duffel photos to the contest and get all the votes that you can, because if you are the winner, you will win more than $1,900 worth of stuff to outfit your sewing room. You will win a Brother sewing machine, a fantastic straight stitch sewing machine with a extended bed. It is a workhorse of a machine, and I'm sure you will all want it in your sewing rooms. We also have some great sulky prizes, a stabilizer bundle, thread assortments that are amazing, very, very generous from Sulky. We also have a Havel's cutting bundle, new rotary cutters, scissors, all of those great tools that you need to sort of upgrade and elevate your sewing. We also have a Cork Club membership from Sallie Tomato. Sallie Tomato, of course, designed the Casey Duffel bag pattern that we showcased in this video cast, and they generously have supplied a prize for the grand prize winner as well. So lots and lots of things to win if you are the winner of the Casey Duffel photo contest. Also, if you are outside of the US, you can still enter to win because we have a special prize offering for our international winner as well. All right, so be sure to head on over and not only upload your photo of your finished Casey Duffel, but also vote on your favorite interpretation or version of the Casey Duffel bags. There are lots of entries up there, and you could see everybody's take on their Casey Duffel, which I absolutely love, seeing everybody's version of what we presented in that video cast. And if you happen to miss the video cast, you can still register for it, watch it in its entirety, get all the tips and tricks and freebies and everything associated with that event at sewingonline.sulky.com. We also have a limited number of Casey kits still available at sulky.com. They're actually on sale right now as well. So you can head on over, grab up a kit, and there's still time to upload your finished duffel bag photo to the photo contest page on our website. All right, so if you have already entered to win, give me a thumbs up, and again, some applause for you all out there, because it's a challenging bag, but it's very rewarding when it's done, and it's a great travel bag. You could bring it along with you to ASG, put all of your sewing supplies and everything that you need for your classes in there, maybe even an outfit or two. That's how roomy that bag is. All right, let's see. Another thing I need to mention before we get started on our tutorial today is there's 1 week left until we go live with our flower applique in the raw webcast with Cheryl Lynch of Cheryl Lynch Quilts. And I put together a short little video that explains everything you will learn during this free webcast. So I'm going to play that video. It's really short, about 2 minutes long, and you'll get the idea of all the things you will learn in this free class happening next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on our education site, which again is sewingonline.sulky.com. And I linked directly to it in the description of today's post. So if you're not seeing the whole description with all the links for everything I'm going to talk about today, be sure to hit that little see more button and it will all pop out for you so you can link directly over to the post. All right, I'm going to play the video real quick and then I will be back to start our tutorial for today. Hey everybody, I'm Ellen March with Sulky of America, and I wanted to pop in to tell you all about our next free webcast Flower applique in the raw with Cheryl Lynch of Cheryl Lynch Quilts. We'll learn how to assemble large-scale mandala appliques, perfect our raw edge applique technique, and then construct a mini quilt with guidance from the pattern designer herself. We'll come together on June 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time at sewingonline.sulky.com. You can join us for this virtual sewing class in the comfort of your own home. And if you can't attend live, be sure to register anyway. Just for registering, we'll give you our mandala machine embroidery design, which you can use to customize a quilt label for your finished project. And that's not all. Everyone who registers will be eligible to win 2 big-ticket door prizes during the event. Plus, we're giving away over $200 in shopping sprees at sulky.com. You don't even need to be present to win. But if you do attend live, you'll have the chance to participate in our live chat where you can talk directly to Cheryl and get answers to your questions. We've curated a beautiful kit for this event, which includes fabrics designed by Cheryl, Sulky threads, a special cut of Sulky Perfect Applique Fusible Web, a template plastic sheet. It's already on sale and will only be available while supplies last. The supplies in the kit are enough to create a 4-block quilt measuring about 40 inches square, featuring 4 large-scale mandala motifs. But the pattern is super versatile. You can make a 3-block table runner, a 6, 9, or 12 block quilt, or create individual blocks for placemats. This pattern comes with purchase of the kit and is also available separately at sulky.com. Put this mandala mosaic masterpiece on your must-make list for this summer and learn something new with Cheryl's many years of perfecting this raw edge applique technique. Click the link to register today and mark your calendar for June 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. See you there! All right, well, I figured that video would give you everything that you need to know. Let's see here. We're having some issues with the feed today, so I apologize for that. I'm seeing many people are not able to comment on Facebook, so we are trying to troubleshoot that right now. But if you do want to participate in the comments and ask your questions, you can hop on over to YouTube because we are also streaming live through YouTube as well. And I'm seeing lots of comments on YouTube so far. So I think everybody is able to view there, no problem. If you want to hop on over to YouTube and watch the tutorial I'm about to start from over there, you will be able to ask your questions right there and I will be able to see them. For now, on Facebook, what I'm gathering is you are able to watch but not able to comment. So we are, like I said, trying to troubleshoot that, but again, you can hop on over to YouTube and watch us there as well. All right, so let's get into our Slice of Summer fabric food tent. I kind of created this out of my own necessity because I was looking for some fabric food tents for a camping trip, and all I could find were these kind of wire domes that fit over a very specific sized plate. And, when I cut up a watermelon, it fits in a giant bowl, right? Who's with me here? So I wanted to create a fabric food tent so I could customize the size for the bowls that I generally take camping, take outdoors, that type of thing. And I came across a tutorial for a teapot cozy on the Sallie Tomato website. We love working with Sallie Tomato, and they're kind of my go-to for bag patterns and bag pattern supplies that we don't carry at sulky.com. So I went there and found this great tutorial for a teapot cozy, and I thought, I could start there and modify this whole thing, kind of create my own pattern for something similar in shape, but a little bit wider, with some supportive gussets, and add this great mesh fabric. Sallie Tomato carries some mesh fabric. I got this from buyannie.com. But this mesh fabric comes in a lot of different colors. So I was able to find a color that coordinated with my watermelon themed fat quarter pack that I had in my stash. And that's kind of how the idea was born. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background that I did get the inspiration from this from our friends at Sallie Tomato. And then I put a twist on it and sized it differently and kind of made it my own. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And Sallie Tomato has a great tutorial for the teapot cozy on YouTube, and it's absolutely free. And it's constructed a different way, but you could also start there if you wanted to, or make a teapot cozy. But I wanted that mesh fabric so that there would be breathability. You know, we don't want to smother things like watermelon, or especially something like a mayo-based, potato salad or pasta salad. Those great things that we love for summertime picnics. So I thought the addition of this mesh fabric sort of gusset would be great. And then I added some fabric support on the sides of that gusset so that it wouldn't fall flat and would have some structure to it and stand up on its own over the bowl. So you can get the full tutorial of what I did with all the dimensions for cutting, supply list, etc. on our blog at blog.sulky.com. I link directly to the post in the description of today's post, so you can head right on over and get the full supply list when I'm done showing you how it comes together here today. All right, so first and foremost, of course, I wanted to add embroidery, and I'm going to kind of show you what I did and tell you how I would do it differently to make it even better. All right, so first off, I started with our Hello Summer machine embroidery palette. This palette includes 10 sulky rayon threads that go along with this entire summer embroidery collection. So you can see we've got our summer dress code design, which is the flip-flops design. There's the ice cream design that says Taste of Summer. That would be really cute on here also. Let's Go Fly a Kite, Life is Better at the Beach, Fun in the Sun, and our Slice of Summer watermelon design. So obviously that's the design that I used for this. You could pick any of these to make a really cute fabric food tent. These designs come in 3 sizes. So you get all 6 designs in all 3 sizes included with purchase of this thread palette. It's basically like getting the design collection for free when you buy the palette. And not to mention, you get all the colors that you need, and you don't have to go hunting in your stash to find just the perfect thread colors that you need to complete the design. All right, so here are all the beautiful colors that come with this thread assortment. And these colors are so great for all of your summer makes, the perfect rainbows and things like that are all so great for summer projects. So you'll be using these threads a lot. And again, you can use them to create all of these great designs. So here is that watermelon, this is the summer dress code design. I must have grabbed the wrong image for the watermelon design. So I'm going to go back here. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing some tips with you for things I would have done differently. Now, it's a little bit hard to see the lettering of this design on that background fabric that I chose, but I was really determined to use this watermelon print. So in hindsight, I thought it would have been such a great idea to use sulky puffy foam underneath the lettering. And that would have made the lettering pop off of the surface really great and would have made it so prominent. So in hindsight, I would have placed sulky puffy foam underneath this lettering. And then what's great about puffy foam is that once you stitch out something like satin stitch lettering, something really dense over the puffy foam, it just perforates and you can just tear it away and the foam is left underneath that lettering, or it would have also even worked along the satin stitch, watermelon rind, and that would have really popped. But, it's such a heavy, dense stitching area right there that it did a pretty good job. You can see that watermelon slice really, really well. But if you've ever wondered about working with puffy foam, this is a great collection to use puffy foam for that lettering. And I'm going to go back, to this, to the right image. Let me find it. And you could see all of these summer designs have these cute phrases associated with them. So summer dress code around those flip-flops. You could use a yellow puffy foam underneath that summer lettering, and it would really, really pop off, and you'd be able to see it really, really well. So again, hindsight being what it is, that's what I would have done in addition to the machine embroidery I'm about to show you. All right. Yeah, lots of you are saying you had to switch to YouTube in order to comment, and I apologize. We're still troubleshooting it and trying to get the chat to work on Facebook. All right. Lynn says, I always forget about using puffy foam. Thanks for the reminder and suggestion. You are welcome. That is why we are here. Puffy foam is fun, and there aren't a lot of instances where I even remember to use it, and I have it here at the ready. So I'm going to be diving into some more puffy foam as we showcase more of these great Hello Summer designs. Kathy says pink thread might have worked too. Exactly. If I would have even used black thread or the pink thread from the palette, it would have popped off of the background. So things to think about when you are planning your designs, to make sure that all of that great machine embroidery work is able to be seen. All right, so first off, here is just a photo showing you kind of the scale of this food tent. It is rather large, but like I said, I was housing some watermelon. Watermelon always kind of, fills the bowl to the brim. So you could see it's bigger than my head. But there are instructions, especially if you look at that Sallie Tomato Teapot Cozy tutorial. They have great instructions for resizing their teapot cozy, and you could use those instructions and kind of mix and match with my instructions for using the mesh fabric and adding that gusset. And that might help you if you want to make a smaller or even a larger food tent as well. So I'm just giving you instructions for the bowl I used, and it's rather standard, I would say, for like a big potluck dish type of bowl. And I put all of those dimensions in the blog post as well for you. Here's just another vantage point. You can see through it. The mesh holes are kind of on the larger size. I mean, if you have like fruit flies, something like that, they may figure out a way to get in there, but a regular fly that you would normally see, outdoors is not going to be able to get through the mesh holes. So just so you're aware of that as well. All right, just another image so you can see how it stands up on its own with the addition of that supportive gusset piece. All right. I appear to be going backwards, so let's figure this out. I apologize for my technical difficulties today. We will get back to that finished photo of it standing up on my sewing table momentarily, but let's start with our supplies. So like I mentioned, this is a fat quarter friendly project. A lot of the times you could find fat quarter bundles at your fabric store in these great fabric prints, that are so great for summer. I found this watermelon one and absolutely fell in love with it. I used the watermelon, the pink print with the seeds on it as the lining fabric. So we've got our fat quarters, we've got some sew-in foam. You could also use fusible foam. I made my foam fusible by adding Sulky KK2000 to it. So if you get a sew-in foam and you want to be able to make it more permanent for the purposes of construction, you can use the KK2000 to adhere those pieces to the foam per my instructions on the blog. And then it's air soluble. So after you construct your great fabric food tent, the spray adhesive is going to just dissipate in the air over time. And it's just such a great, great product. All right. Also, we have our mesh fabric as well as some fold over elastic. And on the byannie.com site, I was able to find fold over elastic that matched my mesh fabric absolutely perfectly. She has a great selection of fold over elastics in pre-cut lengths, and I just used one package, and that was enough to bind all of my seams after I constructed the main part of the food tent. And then you can see the beautiful sulky threads that I used. I have all 10 of the colors from the Hello Summer palette, as well as a green poly deco that I used for construction that matches or coordinates, with the green fabrics that I used for the fold over elastic. I also have some wonder clips, a fabric marker, bobbin thread, of course, for my machine embroidery, some Oregon needles, and that trusty KK2000. So first up, we've got a hoop our fabric that we're going to use for embroidery. And I did not pre-cut the piece so that I had a piece large enough for hooping. I cut my fabric after embroidery was complete, and that way if my design was a little off center or not exactly where I wanted it, I could readjust my pattern piece and cut out, my first front side of the fabric tent after my embroidery was complete. So you could see I hooped half of my fat quarter there with Sulky Soft and Sheer Stabilizer. Soft and Sheer is a cutaway stabilizer, and I actually adhered it to the fabric using the KK2000 before placing it in the hoop. And that way you get the effect of a fusible stabilizer without using a fusible stabilizer. You can also use Soft and Sheer Extra because the addition of that fusible stabilizer will kind of act like an interfacing and give your food tent even more structure. So you can certainly use Soft and Sheer Extra and fuse that to your whole fat quarter, do your embroidery, and then leave it intact on both pieces just for some additional structure or, like I said, interfacing to support your food tent over time. All right. So after hooping, you're simply going to begin your embroidery design. And, again, hindsight being what it is, before my machine was going to embroider the lettering, I would lay that puffy foam down, stitch over the puffy foam, kind of like placing it on the fabric like a topper. And then when that embroidery was complete, tear away the puffy foam, leaving that great pronounced wording on my design. You'll see what appears to be puffy foam on a lot of baseball caps, team, mascot logo caps, where the embroidery is really pronounced and pops off of the hat. That is just a really cool effect that you can achieve with the puffy foam. So after your embroidery is complete, simply take your fabric out of the hoop, give it a little press along your kind of hoop markings if you need to get those out, and you likely will because you have the addition of that cutaway stabilizer. And you can, like I said, leave your stabilizer intact to act as additional interfacing, or you can trim it away close to your design perimeter. Give yourself at least a ½ inch or an inch of stabilizer remaining beyond the design if you want to trim that away, or again, leave it intact for that additional structure. And to round off the corners to create my front and back pieces, I have this really great curved template ruler. And if you don't have one of those, you can simply use, an old DVD or CD if you have one laying around. Use that to just kind of round your upper edge corners, or even a plate, anything round really, and just trim away your corners so that they're nice and round. And you can see I marked that with one of my very favorite chalk marking pens. I thought I had it right next to me, but of course I don't. I love these. They're just really invaluable in the sewing room. But I needed a different color marker, which is why I didn't use my friction pen. But you could certainly even just honestly use a pencil, because this is going to be concealed with our fold over elastic. So mark and trim away your upper edge corners. And there you can see I have my back piece, front piece, my lining pieces, as well as my foam, all cut to size. So this is the back lining, and a foam piece. And we're going to attach all of those together, with our foam in between, using that KK2000. That's what's going to stick everything together. Oh, here I am back to embroidery. I don't know what is happening today. I had all of this in order and we had Facebook comments running just fine, and now everything has gone wonky. So bear with me as we navigate through this project, going back and forth from embroidery to cutting and so forth. But I wanted to show this to you as part of the embroidery process, because I'm using my very favorite curved tip squeezers. I think I have talked about these on every So What for the past year, perhaps. So if you don't have one yet, get on board, because this is one of my favorite little notions. Very inexpensive. We have them at sulky.com. You want to be sure to trim your jump threads with each thread change. Now, with this project, I did not trim my jump threads on the wrong side, because with the addition of that foam interlining, that really conceals all of those jump threads and makes sure they're not going to snag and things like that on the wrong side of the work. But on the right side, we want to make sure that those jump threads don't interfere with the subsequent thread changes that happen throughout the design process. So to clip those jump threads, I love these curved tip squeezers. You see how the tip curves upward when you place it next to your fabric on the hoop? That is so that these tips do not accidentally snag your beautiful embroidery stitches or accidentally poke through your beautiful fabric while you're clipping those away. Because if you're anything like me, you can get really trim happy and get in there, and then all of a sudden you have sliced through your beautiful work thus far. So to try and prevent that, grab some curved tip squeezers or curved embroidery scissors. We also have some smaller embroidery scissors at sulky.com if you'd rather have a handle that are also curved, and those also work quite well. But that's why I'm showing you this image here, to make sure that you're clipping those jump threads. And here we are with the finished embroidery. And again, use that puffy foam, and I would love to see your results. And here we are pressing away the markings left by our hoop. And I always like to keep my iron away from my finished embroidery, just if at all possible. We don't want to flatten the beautiful shimmery shininess of the rayon. And sometimes when you hit your iron on it, if your iron, is super hot, like sometimes mine gets super duper hot and I'm not even aware of that, it can kind of flatten the sheen of the threads. So either press from the wrong side, always, or just steer clear of your stitching with your iron, if at all possible. And here we are back to adhering our foam to our lining and our front and back pieces of the food tent. So I just have my foam and spraying it with a little bit of Sulky KK2000, making sure everything is nice. Then we're going to baste the pieces along the perimeter, just about 1/4 inch from the edge. You can see I also added some Wonder Clips just to be sure that all of my layers were nice and together. You know, even if we use a ton of KK2000, which you really don't need a lot, sometimes those edges aren't adhered as much as the main portion of our pieces are. So I just added some Wonder Clips and basted all of those pieces to make sure that, you know, they were nice and secure for all of the next steps. Now we're going to do some marking. And, you know, I marked on my foam side before I had my lining piece attached. So again, like I said, I was going to tell you basically what I did wrong so that you all can do things right when you put yours together. So I should have waited and done my markings when I had my lining attached, but that's okay, no harm, no foul. I simply added my strap pieces, or, you know, pinned or Wonder Clipped them in place, and then I realized, oh no, I don't have my lining piece attached, so I need to go and add that. So at any rate, the pattern and the blog post is going to tell you how to do it right, but I'm just kind of here showing you that I make mistakes all the time and recover from them, and the finished project is just as good. All right, so we're going to make our center markings along the upper edge of both our front and back pieces so that we can then measure for our handle tabs. Now, each handle is a strip of fabric, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And we're going to curve it along, matching the ends with our markings. So once you have those markings in place, you can kind of set that aside and start constructing the handles. So for the handles, we simply create some rectangles. And again, the dimensions for those rectangles are all in the blog post. And you will fold those in half lengthwise and give them a good press. Then you're going to unfold them and match the long edges with that center fold line. Then we're going to fold those in half again, concealing all the raw edges, and we're going to top stitch on both long edges to create the handles. And again, I'm using some Wonder Clips here. You can use pins if you want, and go ahead and top stitch those down. Now those are our finished handles, and we're going to place the ends of the handles along our markings on the front and back pieces of the food tent. So here they are clipped in place, and just make sure that you haven't twisted your handle accidentally so that you will be able to use it. And we're just going to baste those where they are. All right, so once our handles are basted, you can kind of set aside your front and back pieces, and we're going to start working on the gusset. So what we have here are our two fabric gusset pieces, and then our mesh gusset piece is matching the long edges of those two fabric gusset pieces. And you can use Wonder Clips to kind of secure those in place. It's a little difficult and cumbersome to try and pin that mesh fabric because of all the holes and all of that. So I find Wonder Clips are really what you need here for this part of the construction. So you're going to baste that first fabric along those long edges, and then we're going to sandwich our foam and the lining pieces along the other edge. So we are sandwiching the mesh fabric in between those layers, and then you're going to stitch, and then we're going to fold those pieces to the right side. And you can use some KK2000 after you have sewn that seam to make sure that your foam is nice and secure between those fabric layers. All right. So now you can see I've used the Wonder Clips there to make sure that everything's nice and secure for sewing that seam. And our mesh fabric is between the two, cotton fabrics. And you're just going to sew that seam and then top stitch it. The top stitching adds a decorative element, but also just makes sure that everything is lying nice and flat, because you do have that little bit of foam seam allowance that you need to tame in between those layers. So you can use a decorative stitch for top stitching. You can simply do a straight stitch about 1/8 of an inch from that seam. You can use any kind of thread you want. You can use the rayon from the machine embroidery palette to have a nice pop of color that coordinates with the embroidery design, or I used the 40-weight poly deco thread to construct the whole thing. All right, so after top stitching, now we are going to mark our gusset along the centers and those lower long edge centers. I'm just using a sulky chalk pencil here for those markings so that I can see it really good off of that black fabric print. All right, so then we need to fold the entire gusset piece in half just so that we can mark the center, and we will be able to align it with the center of our curved pieces. So I just used a Wonder Clip for the mark. If you have a fabric marker that you can see against your mesh fabric, you might be able to use that, but a Wonder Clip is just as easy. Again, a pin is not really that effective because it's, going to go through the holes and all that. So just use a Wonder Clip, pin mark those center parts of either side, and then we're going to start pinning it or clipping it really in place, matching up the center of those mesh fabric gusset pieces with the center of our front and back food tent pieces. Is everyone with me? All right. So once you have done that, take it over to the sewing machine and you are just going to sew that gusset piece in place along those long edges, matching it up with your food tent pieces. Now, the mesh fabric sometimes can be a little bit stretchy. I can't really explain it because it's not like a stretch fabric, but if your gusset piece ends up being a little bit longer on either side, simply trim it to fit. So that's why we mark the center of our gusset and we start clipping it along the center, moving towards the lower edges of the food tent pieces. That way, if our gusset, our fabric gusset piece with the foam attached, if that's a little bit longer, we can trim it evenly on either side. We won't have one side that's longer than the other. We want it to be nice and symmetrical. And even if you have to trim off 1 inch on both sides, you will still have enough support from that foam-lined fabric gusset piece to make sure that it stands up on its own. So don't worry too much about that if that happens to you. Okay, so now it's basically complete. We have the shell of our food tent with the handles attached. We just need to conceal those raw edges. And the best way to do that is with this great fold over elastic. Now, speaking of stretch, this fold over elastic is a little bit stretchy, and that's actually great for us. It's not going to make our tent pucker or, stretch out of shape. Stretching it ever so slightly is actually going to draw in. Do you see how on the bottom of this, it's actually drawn in a little bit? And that actually helps the structure and helps it stand up on its own even more when you have it on the table. So you actually do want to stretch it ever so slightly while you are applying it. So just to measure it, I first Wonder Clipped it all around those curved seams. So first we're going to seam bind the curved seams on the front and back, And then you can bind the entire lower edge, stretching it slightly as you sew. So first I clipped them using the Wonder Clips, and then I set my machine for a wide zigzag stitch. And I simply zigzagged over all of that fold over elastic. And that's how I attached it. And yes, you are going to see those zigzag stitches, but you can make sure that it's super wide so that you catch the front and back of the fold over elastic while you are sewing it in place. And this is on the inside of your food tent. So if it's not the prettiest of stitches, or you veer off here and there from the edge of the elastic, it's okay. Nobody's going to turn that thing inside out, and they will think your handiwork is absolutely amazing. Plus, if you get a really pretty color of fold over elastic like I did, this really great green color, and you use a matching thread, it blends in really well. You can hardly even see my zigzag stitching. And I even went over it twice along the lower edge, and just to give it a little bit more decorative effect and to reinforce all of that stitching. All right. So now we've got to bind that lower edge. And again, like I said, stretch it ever so slightly. If you go to byannie.com and you get the pre-made or pre-cut packs of fold over elastic, it's just enough to bind this project. So if you want to get 2 packs and make sure that you have enough, if you don't stretch it enough while you're sewing, you might have a little bit of a gap. I mean, I think I trimmed away maybe 3 or 4 inches. That's all I had left over of the fold over elastic. So just to let you know, and all the yardages and everything that I used, again, are in the blog post at blog.sulky.com. All right. So at the beginning and end of your fold over elastic, you can choose to finish this a number of ways. I simply overlapped my ends about 2 inches and just zigzagged over that join. I was not worried about a raw edge showing because, again, I went over my lower edge elastic twice with those zigzag stitches. So that's going to secure those raw ends of the fold over elastic just fine for me. If you want a more finished edge, or you want to join your elastic pieces with a straight stitch, by all means, you can certainly do that. You can also fold one end at a 45-degree angle like you would maybe with quilt binding or a potholder project, that type of thing. And then overlap those ever so slightly and just continue zigzagging. So that's entirely up to you how you want to finish those edges. I'm just showing you what worked for me and what I was satisfied with, basically. All right. So there is my finished end. So I have this upside down so you can see my sort of circle of fold over elastic and how it kind of brings those edges a little bit tighter together to create more of that great structure for the food tent. And then there it is, standing up on my sewing table. It comes together so quickly. You can really make a bunch of these. They would make great gifts for friends or party favors. If you're headed to somebody's barbecue, you could personalize your design even more with a monogram or a name, especially if you're making a lot of these, and then everybody will know which one is theirs and which one they get to take home with. And again, there's that finished design. So you can imagine if I had used the black thread for the slice of summer wording, or if I had used that puffy foam, it would be a totally different result. And I did use the medium size design for this. It's the 5x7 design. Like I said, the designs in the Hello Summer collection come in 3 sizes. So whether you purchase an individual design or the whole collection, you get all the designs in all the formats in 3 sizes. So you'll get a design that is sized for a 4x4 hoop, a 5x7 hoop, and a 9x10 hoop. And you probably could go up to the 9x10 size for this project, and it would cover much more of the front of your food tent. So that's entirely up to you. But I use that 5x7 design for mine. And again, pretty difficult to read. I mean, I can read it really well when I'm just looking at it here, but with all of the lights in here and stuff and all of the photography I did, pretty difficult to read that slice of at the top there. So, man, puffy foam just would have made it. Just would have made it. All right, so I hope you all give it a try and grab up some puffy foam and add that. And I would love to see it. I'll add your photos to the post if you would like, or if you give me permission, because I would love to see how that looks. So I am going to go through the comments now. If you are unable to comment, you're watching on Facebook, head on over to YouTube for our Q&A now, and I will address your comments and questions, and we can chit chat. So Heather says, this is really nice. There are different fruits, which would be delicious also. Absolutely. You could probably find a really cute cupcake design, something like that. We have a really great patriotic cupcake. It's an applique design that would look really, really cute on this from our patriotic collection. So lots of different design options that you could go with. Kathy says, such a useful project. Yes. Marcia says, I've never heard of fold over elastic before. Is this available through Sulky? We actually don't carry fold over elastic. I got mine at buyannie.com. They have a lot of great color selections of fold over elastic. You can find it I have seen it at Joann Fabrics before, but not a great array of colors, but you could get some neutrals and things like that there, and you can get it by the yard. Usually where they sell the ribbon by the yard, the trims by the yard, that type of thing. But I've also noticed it if they have like a baby aisle where there's supplies for diapers, for the little baby snaps, for clothing and diapers. They have a lot of fold over elastic there. It's really great for nice soft edge treatments for, for baby clothes and, things that go around your legs and stuff. But it's pretty narrow because, you're going to fold it around that edge. So, things like baby items and stuff. But we also featured it in our Deanie pouch. If you're familiar with our Deanie pouch summer sewing session that we did with Sallie Tomato, they featured some really great mesh elastic pockets in the pouch that hold your rotary cutter, your pens and pencils, things like that. You can check out the Deanie pouch summer sewing session at sewingonline.sulky.com to know what I'm really talking about. But when you open up the Deanie pouch, there are mesh pockets using mesh fabric, very similar or almost exact to what I'm showing you here. And the top of the pockets were finished with the fold over elastic to kind of bring in those pockets and allow them to kind of close on their own and house your things inside. So they're used in a lot of bag making and things like that. I've also seen them used as hair ties. You can grab yards of fold over elastic and cut them into lengths that are suitable for hair ties and simply double knot the ends. And there you have a hair tie. They actually sell these at places like Claire's, kid stores and things like that as hair ties. And it boggles my mind because you can go grab like 3 yards of fold over elastic for $5-6, something like that, and just make so many hair ties out of that for a fraction of the cost of what they are charging for these, newfangled hair ties. So if you have seen those out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. All right. Oh, and in addition to the zigzag stitches to secure your fold over elastic, you can also choose an open type of decorative stitch. We don't get a lot of opportunities to use all those decorative stitches on our sewing machines. I think my sewing machine has like 300 decorative stitches to use. There are ones I have never even sewn out before. So you could use like a honeycomb stitch or a wave stitch or something fun that maybe goes with the theme of your food tent. If you make a patriotic themed food tent for a July 4 barbecue and you grab up our patriotic themed machine embroidery design collections for that, you could do a fireworks or a star decorative stitch along your fold over elastic and just add even another design element to the party, and that's really fun as well. All right, Lynn says, I just discovered fold over elastic in the past year. What a great binding medium, especially on curves. Exactly, because it's really stretchy, just like a regular elastic, and it's really, really great. I have actually made a tiered long skirt using fold over elastic for the waistband. I know. If you can find it in wider in wider widths, it's great for things like elastic waist shorts, elastic waist skirts, summertime skirts made out of lightweight fabrics like cotton voile, cotton sateen. Really quick and easy way to make like a gathered skirt that is so simple to stitch. And again, just fold it over that upper raw edge, stretch it a bunch while you sew it, and it'll gather in that skirt fabric and make for a fantastic edge treatment. So it can be used for lots and lots of things. If you've never tried it before, grab some up, make this food tent, get familiar with it, and I think you'll find lots of uses for it. All right. Who likes flies on their food? Exactly. All right. And lots of people talking about the curved tip squeezers. So I'm glad that you all have grabbed those up. And yeah, Dawn says, I bought those hair ties before I discovered the fold over elastic from By Annie. I know, they're really great for your hair because they don't kind of knot up in your hair. You know, they don't have that little metal joining piece on them like a lot of hair ties do, so they don't get caught up in your hair. So you could make tons of those. And Linda is saying, where are the pattern specs for the project? So they are at the blog at blog.sulky.com. I linked directly to it in the description of today's post, so you can click on that little see more button and the whole description will pop out. You'll find links for everything I'm talking about today. Not only will you find links for today's project with all the cutting instructions, supply lists, and step-by-step picture tutorials, but you will also find links for our flower applique in the raw free webcast. Now, Cheryl Lynch, who designed this pattern, will be joining us live next Tuesday at 2 p.m. on our education platform at sewingonline.sulky.com. So make sure to register, even if you can't join us live next week, because once you register, you have access to the event page for all time. Once you have registered, it will go into your personal library. You will be able to access that event page, which will have the video of the event itself. After we go live, the video goes on there so you can watch it on demand at any time. So if you miss a portion of it or can't attend live, that's how you can view it in its entirety. You also will get our free mandala machine embroidery design, which, like I mentioned at the top of today's episode, you can use to create a custom quilt block for your finished mandala mosaic masterpiece. And you will also get access to our Q&A, where you can ask questions and get answers from Cheryl and our great customer support team at any time if you have questions when you're working through your project. All right, so also on the event page is where you can click right on over to purchase your kit for this event. I also put links to purchase the pattern. The pattern comes with purchase of the kit, but you can also grab up that digital pattern if you want to use your own fabrics as well. We also have a special thread kit that we have curated that's more great colors for summer as well. These are Cheryl's fabrics that she has designed specifically for the Mandala Mosaic Masterpiece quilts. So you're going to learn so much. This comes with plastic template sheets that Cheryl's going to show you how to use to create your own applique templates. And as well, you also get a special cut of the Sulky Perfect Applique Fusible Web. So lots and lots of stuff in this kit. And I think you will really, really enjoy Cheryl's techniques. She has really perfected her raw edge applique technique. And I think that you all are going to find it so useful for so many different projects. Not only this wonderful layered applique quilt, but any applique that you want to do in the future. You will really benefit from her years and years of experience perfecting her raw edge applique technique. So I hope that you will all join next week. All right. So thank you all for joining me. I apologize for the problems on Facebook. We're going to get to the bottom of that and make sure that this video is there in its entirety for you to view and comment. I wanted to mention too that just like every So What, we have a great giveaway. For all of you who were able to comment, like, share out this post today, one of you will be the lucky winner of our Hello Summer machine embroidery collection. You will receive all 6 designs in 3 sizes in its entirety as a collection. And all you have to do is comment, like, share this post, and I will give you plenty of time. I'll give you a few days before I pick a winner. That way we can get this up on Facebook as well for all of you who normally watch us faithfully on Facebook every week. So I appreciate all of your time today. Again, join us next week for another So What, as well as our free webcast. So we will have So What at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by our great free webcast at 2 p.m. Eastern Time over on sewingonline.sulky.com. So I will see you there. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and have fun creating your own fabric food tent. I can't wait to see your take on this project. Be sure to join our Facebook group, Sulky Stitch and Post. All you have to do is go on Facebook and search Stitch and Post. We will also put the link in the comments here. And once you join, you'll be able to upload finished project pictures where we can all see your takes on our projects and your takes on your projects as well. You can also ask questions and join our community there, and it's a great space for sharing. So I hope that you do. And again, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next week for another So What.